Okay, so I'm at Totnes Guildhall. Obviously it's all locked up because of the old COVID. There's a sign. Okay, and the Guildhall was it was built in 1953 and over the years has been used as the town jail. It's been used as a boys' school, a magistrates' court, and is still used today as council chambers, and the mayor's parlour is in here as well. Inside are the boards of all the mayors of Totnes dating back to 1359, and the council chamber where Oliver Cromwell sat to plan the closing stages of the Civil War in 1646. The Guildhall is licensed for weddings and ceremonies. As far as ghosties, apparently the alarm goes off regularly during the daytime, which has no apparent reason, because obviously it's disarmed during the day when people are in there walking around. And there's men's cells inside. It's a shame I can't show you anything. There's no windows, but there's no windows because the men's cells, which were used between 1624 and 1887, were known as the Dark House. The male prisoners were held here awaiting trial or serving very short sentences. There was no heating and the only light came from a candle outside the cell door. The walls were washed with lime to prevent disease, and it is logged in 17th century records as the Dark House. Prisoners sentenced in the adjacent courtroom were kept here awaiting transportation to Australia. There's a story of 3 men who were dragged through the gutters and the sewers of Totnes, and they were thrown in the Dark House cell where they nearly suffocated. They said it was pitch black, they couldn't see a thing. Eventually they were let out of the Dark House, and they were allowed into the hall, which is a bigger area, whilst they were awaiting to be sent to Exeter for trial. Apparently they got dragged through the sewers and by their arms and legs and the townspeople, because it turned out that these men were Quakers, and they'd been discussing their religion in public. So that was those poor guys' punishment, being Quakers and discussing religion in a public place. At the minute we're in the cemetery. This church was built by the townsfolk of Totnes. Can't quite think of how long ago. During the 15th century. It was built by the townsfolk. Apparently the ground it stands on has been used as a place of worship for thousands of years, apparently. So this is why the church was put here. It was built in thirds, so apparently they started with the tower area first, and then the middle bit there, and lastly this back third here. Okay, right, I'm gonna move on a bit, and I'll show you the high street. Okay, now we're just down one of the other little ancient little alleyways. You can imagine this, can't you, in medieval times? Trudging along here in their jaunty little outfits that they used to wear. My nan, for a while, she lived in one of these. I don't know which one it was. I wasn't born at the time, but she did live there for a little while. I think while she was it's when she'd moved from the farm that they had, and she was awaiting to move into her bungalow at Dartington. She rented there temporarily. Okay, right, now we've come right out on the East Arch, which actually, I'll show you the other side, because the other side, oh no, that side's got the clock too. This was like the old entrance to the town when it was medieval. They would have had like the gateway here, and obviously as the years have gone on, they've kept the entrance to the town, even though it goes right down further now than it used to. And you know, they've marked it with this tower. This was actually rebuilt because when they had the fire, it burned all this down. And those windows there, they're actually the Bury Pomeroy Castle, the Duke of Somerset's estate. That's his estate office, and the Seymours have had this archway here in the offices. They've had that in their under their ownership for, well, a few hundred years, put it that way. Okay, I'll show you a bit of the high street, because you can appreciate how old these buildings actually are. They were originally like merchants' houses, built for the traders. Look at that one there, look. Go the other side of the road. That's the church that we walked around. Apparently this sort of slate building is, I think they call it downslating, something like that. It's quite common in Totnes. Quite a lot of the buildings have got this slate fronting on them. Okay. This high street was actually widened in the 18th century. They widened it, so God knows how narrow it was before. But it's busy. Vans coming. But yeah, this is just so old. This is the market square. They usually have Elizabethan markets here on the first Tuesday of every month, where people dress up as Elizabethans and sell a load of junk, really. But the tourists love it. But yeah, that's the high street. They've the people of Totnes, actually, they don't like big corporate companies, so there's mainly independent traders here, They've kept the likes of Costa off the high street. Any big sort of corporate. That sweet little elephant. Yeah, any and an original phone box. Look at that. Look. You don't see many of them these days. Yeah, they keep the corporates out. I mean, they've got a couple of like supermarkets, but other than that, there's no like street CCTV. They didn't want it. So it's one of the few places you can come and not be filmed walking up the street unless it's from a shop inside. They didn't want the ugly cameras just looking totally out of place, and to be honest, they don't want to be spied on. It's a really strange place. It's very like bohemian here. This is an old shop where they have really old clothes, and they'll buy and sell things from like any sort of era, really. 30s, 40s, right up to like 70s or 80s. Look at this old bath, look. HMS Britannia mess room. Proper old bath. How much do they want for that? £370, it says. Ideal as a planter. A sun planter. Bedpan. Antiques, glassware and silver plate. Right, where I'm walking now is a place called the Leechwells, and basically people were suffering with leprosy would come to these leech wells, and they were believed to have healing properties, not just for leprosy, but for any ailment. It's a bit like the Lourdes of Totnes by all accounts. So even though I live very near here, I've never actually been to the Leechwells, but we're on Leechwell Street. I know that they built like a little memorial garden. So I'm gonna end this video here, and I'm gonna have to cheat and look on Google Maps in order to find exactly where, because there's so many little nooks and crannies and little lanes around here that it'd be easy to miss. Okay, so I shall do that.